This chapter is called News. Oh, my name started too soon. Okay, chapter 14. This one is called News. July 20th, 1944. Hobie took the steel brush and sandpaper from Uncle Trig. You can use the paper wet or dry, Uncle Trig explained. But we need to get every bit of rust off the anchor, he chuckled. I guess I don't mean we, I mean you. I'll be working on the engine. You okay here? Hobie took one look at the anchor braced up on the sawhorses. Even though he wasn't sure he was okay, he told Uncle Trig that he was. He set the supplies on the deck and inspected the anchor more closely. He was going to grow some muscles scraping away all this rust. No doubt about it. He arranged a canvas tarp under the anchor and got to work. At noon, Uncle Trig announced a lunch break. I'm not done yet, Hobie said. Uncle Trig's laugh bubbled up from his toes. And you won't be done for a good while, he said. All the more reason to stop for lunch. They ate sandwiches Aunt Ellen had made, watching the boats moving about in the harbor. Doesn't it make you want to go somewhere? Uncle Trig asked Hobie. Hobie didn't answer. He liked being right where he was. He didn't really want to go anywhere else. He just wanted the ones that he cared about, Dad and Duke, to come home to him. Come home. Uncle Trig chewed up the last of his sandwich, washing it down with a swig of coffee. Best get back to work. He and Hobie worked for another couple of hours. He sanded and scrubbed until his arms burned. He barely made a dent in the rust. He sat back on his haunches, wiping sweat from his forehead with the hem of his t-shirt. Uncle Trig tapped him on the shoulder. Stow your supplies, he said. I've got chores at home. Uncle Trig picked up his lunch pail and thermos. Can I drop you somewhere? Sure. It'd been a few days since Hobie had been able to check in on Max and Pepper, so to see how they were doing with obedience training. My friend's house? Hobie stashed the sandpaper and brushes in the footlocker. He rolled his bike down the dock to Uncle Trig's car and lifted it into the trunk. Uncle Trig told Hobie about the letter they'd gotten from Eric and Emil, who were at Bible camp for 2 weeks. Those two knuckleheads getting themselves into more trouble, he said. They got the brainy idea to stick all of their counselor's socks in the freezer. He sounded cross, but his eyes were twinkling. That's the house there. Hobie pointed at the Kleins. Uncle Trig pulled up to the curb and then unlocked the trunk. Same time tomorrow morning, Hobie lifted out his bike. That'll be fine. Uncle Trig winked at Hobie. Now, no turning your sister's socks into popsicles, he said. I won't dream of it. Hobie straightened the front wheel to get the bike rolling. Our icebox doesn't even have a freezer, he added. Uncle Trig burst out laughing. See you tomorrow, son. He drove off. Hobie followed the barking to the backyard. It had been 2 weeks since Max had found Pepper, 2 weeks and over 2 dozen found dog signs, but no one had telephoned to claim her. Which one of you is getting the bath? Hobie asked, but both Max and Pepper were soaking. It's supposed to be her, Max said. He squirted more Magitex shampoo, pet shampoo, on Pepper's back. He and Hobie had each chipped in 30 cents to buy the shampoo at Bartell's. Hobie dropped his bike and went over to help scrub. Hey, Pepper. Hey, girl. He rubbed down shampoo down her hind legs. Pepper's coat had grown in shiny black. Not one flea floated in the wash tub today. She put on some weight, too. Max hosed off the lather. Better duck, he hollered. They were too slow. Pepper shook herself all over, nailing them really good. Hobie wiped his face, sputtering. Max finished rinsing her. You're not a nuisance, are you, girl? Pepper tried to lap at the water pouring from the hose. Ma says she can stay another week, but that's it. Max stared off into space, water cascading on his sneakers. Then it's the pound. Hobie swallowed hard. The pound would only keep a dog for a week or two, and then it was all over. Hobie turned off the faucet. We'll think of something, he said. I know we will. Max dropped the hose. I sure hope so. Pepper jumped out of the wash tub and ran around the yard, rolling on the grass. She's happy that June's not here, Hobie said. The last time June had come over, they'd caught her trying to dress Pepper up in a skirt and a baby's bonnet. Max screwed the lid back on the shampoo bottle. Yeah, he agreed. Pepper's not crazy about playing dress up. Pepper heard her name and trotted up to Max. He stroked her wet head. What are we going to do, Pep? He asked. Her answer was to take off again, running and rolling. That is one goofy dog, Max said, shaking his head, but Hobie could tell that he didn't really mean it. I better get home, Hobie said. Going to work for Uncle Trig hadn't put a dent in the list of chores that Mom had made for him each day. See you tomorrow. Sure, Max. Sure. Max grabbed Pepper as she ran by and buckled her collar back on. Give me a call if you get any brilliant ideas. Hobie thought hard all the way home. He'd already asked Mrs. Lee if she'd like to have a dog, seeing as she was so fond of jokes about them. But she worried that Pepper was too peppy. She had promised to see if any of her customers might be able to take her home. So far, no one had said yes. Hobie even asked Aunt Ellen, but she only rolled her eyes. I have two wild animals already, she said. I can't handle one more. Hobie and Max were running out of options. The only other thing Hobie could think of was for them to take Pepper and sit outside someplace busy like Roxy Theater and ask people if they wanted a dog as they came out of the show. It might work, especially if the show was something like Call of the Wild or Lassie Come Home. As Hobie turned the corner, a Western Union messenger on a bicycle was pedaling the opposite direction down their street. Hobie's heart dive-bombed into his stomach when the messenger dropped his bike on the sidewalk in front of their house. The last telegram they got was when Grandfather Hansen had died. Telegrams brought bad news. Hobie tried to run, but his legs turned to mush. By the time he reached their front walk, the messenger was cycling away. Mom hadn't seen him yet. She opened the telegram and then felt behind her, collapsing on the porch swing. Mom. Hobie's legs finally started working again. He pounded on the steps. She held up the piece of paper, her mouth open, but no words, no sounds could come out. June came through the front door right then. Mommy? She asked. Mommy? She crawled up on Mom's lap. Hobie peered around his sister to see for himself what the telegram had said. The words hit him like a rogue wave. Report just received through the International Red Cross states that your husband, Second Lieutenant Palmer B. Hansen, is a prisoner of war. The German government letter of information follows from the Provost Marshal General. Hobie didn't move, couldn't move. A picture flashed through his mind of the B-24 model of on the floor of the classroom that day. Did Dad's plane crash? Was he hurt? What did it mean to be a prisoner of war? He'd read and heard awful things about the Nazis. What would they do to Dad? 100 questions bubbled up inside, but one look at Mom told him not to ask them. Not now. Mom? Mommy? June tugged at Mom's dress. Mom hugged her close. It'll be okay, Junebug. Let me catch my breath. Hobie was too big for such coddling. He wished he wasn't. Why are you so sad? June asked. She stroked Mom's cheek. Mom took her hand and kissed it. Mom inhaled a shaky breath and looked at Hobie. Can you play a game or something with June? She asked. I should call Trig. She gave June another squeeze. Hop down, sweetie. I don't want to play a game, June said. Then we'll do something else, Hobie told her. He was the man of the house, and Mom needed his help. But she merely sat there, her left hand holding the telegram and her right hand patting June. Then she reached out to Hobie, pulling him down next to her. The three of them huddled there, drawing strength and warmth from one another for a good long while. Finally, Mom eased June off her lap. I'd better make that call. Hobie took June's small hand. Come on, how about a puzzle? Kitty wants a story, she said. Hobie hadn't even finished reading the first chapter in Little House on the Prairie when Uncle Trig, Aunt Ellen, and the cousins arrived. Palmer could lend a cardboard box, Uncle Trig said, squeezing Mom's shoulder. He's fine. Of course he is. Aunt Ellen tied one of Mom's extra aprons. A tough Norwegian like that. She clucked her tongue. Those Germans will rue the day. Mom nodded numbly. June hung on the hem of her dress. What's rue? June asked. Mom bent to kiss the top of her head. Why don't you go play with the boys? Aunt Ellen took over in the kitchen, making coffee for the grown-ups and Kool-Aid for the kids. She started supper, too, one of Hobie's favorites, porcupine meatballs. Emil and Eric set up the Monopoly board. June picked the yellow token, Emil blue, Eric green, and Hobie picked orange. It was his least favorite color. It didn't matter. I dibs banker, said Emil. You were the banker last time, said Eric. Was too. Hobie's banker, Uncle Trig pronounced. Hobie counted out the play money, and they took turns rolling dice and moving the pieces around the board. But June didn't buy one railroad, which was her favorite thing, and Eric forgot to collect rent from Emil 3 turns in a row. The whole evening was like that. People tried to do usual things, fix dinner, wash dishes, listen to the radio, but Aunt Ellen burned the broccoli, Mom used oil instead of Lux soap on the dishes, and when the radio crackled with static, no one got up to adjust it. After supper, Aunt Ellen telephoned the Red Cross. They said they had help. They can help us find out where Palmer is, she reported. But it may take some time. Mom twisted a dish towel in her hands. I wish I could do something, she said. Hobie's insides felt a lot like the dish towel. Aunt Ellen hugged her. You can pray, she said. Then she brushed her hands together, and we can start assembling a care package for him. The house was heavy with quiet after Uncle Trig's family left. June had a tummy ache, and then a headache, and then a toothache. And how about if I lay with you until you fall asleep? Mom asked her. June thought that was a good idea. Kitty did too. The three of them curled up on June's bed. Hobie went to his own room. He flopped face down on the bed, left arm dangling off the edge, reaching for Duke's warm comfort. He had a stomach ache too. Like Mom and June, he was worried about Dad. That was the biggest part of his headache, of his ache. But the other part was a big ball of mad. How could this have happened? It wasn't fair. Hobie had done everything to be a good home front soldier, to do his bit. All the war stamps and the scrap drives. He had planted a victory garden, and Duke he had given away to the army for crying out loud. And what good had that done for Dad? Nothing. It wasn't fair. None of his other friends had fathers in the service, not Max, or Preston, or Catherine. They got to sit down to dinner with their fathers every single night. Hobie tried not to think about all the episodes of Hop Harrigan that the Germans beat him up and other stuff. Would Dad be safe? He was tough. Uncle Trig had said that about a dozen times tonight. But was one Dad tough enough for the whole German army? Hobie rolled over on his back, a tear trickling to his ear. He'd thumbtacked the spotter model box top to the ceiling. The Liberator, it blared. Until tonight, he'd liked that red, white, and blue reminder of building the model and of Dad. Now it only added to his stomach ache. He grabbed his pillow, swinging it back and forth until he knocked that darn thing down. Dad wouldn't want Hobie fussing at Mom the way June was. The man of the house had to be strong and silent. Sometimes, though, a guy needed to talk to someone, and Duke was the best listener Hobie knew. But he had tried to get him back twice. Private First Class Corf said they were a team, dog and Marine. Without Duke, Private First Class Corf couldn't do his job. And despite everything else, Hobie wanted the Marines out there, fighting the bad guys. Hobie sat upright on his bed, his pillow pressed to his middle. If he were in a comic book, there'd be a light bulb over his head. Private First Class Corf needed a dog, and Pepper needed a home. All he had to do was call Mr. Rasmussen, sign Pepper up, and then the Marines would send Duke back. Pepper was as smart as Duke, not as fast, but definitely as smart, and she'd been easy to train. She could catch up in no time. It was a perfect solution. All right, see ya next time.